I'm Samantha Booth and I'm here with John McDonnell talking about anti-trade union legislation and the work he's been doing for the NUJ. Hi John. Just want to ask you about the anti-trade legislation then, about what the Labour Party is thinking of doing and to coincide, and could you just give a brief explanation of what it's intended to do?
Okay. It goes back a long while, so there's a long history to this, I'm afraid. Way back in the 1980s, Mrs. Thatcher launched a real attack on trade unions and took away some basic rights that we've had for nearly a century, which was the right to industrial action, take strike action, in solidarity with others who are taking place in industrial action as well as undermining our basic ability to organise, the right to be recognised, that sort of thing. And undermined, I suppose, our ability to be the voice of workers in particular workplaces. Under the last government, we pressed very hard as a union to try and get some of those reforms in place, which would reverse some of that legislation. All we were asking the last Labour government to do is bring us up to the same level as trade union rights right the way across Europe. In fact, our legislation on trade unions at the moment offends against all the international conventions of the International Labour Organization. So we just said to the last government, please comply with the law. And that never happened. We gained some improvements, some rights to recognition. So if a group of workers within a particular workplace said we want to join a union, if the majority said that, the employer would then have to recognise them. But there were all sorts of devices of getting around that. For example, NUJ International, the company there, set up their own staff association and tried to undermine the NUJ in that way. So what's happening now is we're suffering from that. Individual workers are not getting representation effectively. And when we take industrial action, we have to go through an exhaustive balloting procedure, which is so technical, an employer can get injunctions against us, and they do on a regular basis. And in addition to that, if one of our colleagues in another firm is taking industrial action, we can't support them with sympathetic action. That's the problem at the moment, and that's why people feel incredibly vulnerable at work when employers have been able to sack people and undermine their wages and conditions. What we're saying to the Labour Party at the moment as a union, we need to think again on all of this. We need to look at what the international standards are and bring us up to those standards, which means restoration of the right to take industrial action, sympathetic action as well, ensuring there's proper recognition procedures so that employers can't get around them, and then also on the balloting procedures, remove these technical hurdles which are basically pushing us into court on a regular basis, and meaning we're spending lots of money fighting these actions. Very, very simple measures like that. The Labour Party now is reviewing its policy. I think we're on the edge of a breakthrough where they recognise that there's a need for reform. Even Ed Miliband now, in his speech at Labour Party conference over the last week, made reference to the need for employment rights. It's quite crucial for us now.
Oh, that's great to hear. So you've been quite influential in the part of the NUJ, and I'm just wondering if you could give us a brief outline of your past and future work within the NUJ.
Okay. In 2003, the NUJ, we had a discussion about we needed a group in Parliament to represent us. And trade union groups in Parliament have been there for over a century, where individual MPs come together, work with the trade union that they represent, and basically ensure that Parliament, when they debate issues, the voice of that particular trade union and their members is represented in Parliament. So in 2003, we decided to set up our own trade union group. We've now got 33 members across all parties. Interestingly enough, we've brought them together, Conservative, Liberal and Labour, mainly Labour, but there's Conservative, Liberals and the Scottish National Party and Plaid Cymru. So we come together on a regular basis. The members of the NUJ, through the executive, set out our agenda. These are the issues that we're concerned about, what's happening in our workplace. We then take those issues onto the floor of House of Commons and into the House of Lords, and we meet with ministers, we meet with civil servants. We monitor legislation that's going through, so in addition to becoming the voice of the union, we also become the eyes and ears of the union and trying to influence the climate of debate within Parliament itself. I think it's been quite successful so far. For a small group like that, we have direct access to ministers. We've been able to shape some of the issues around, for example, the BBC. We did a long campaign about the cutbacks in local radio, and we won. I did exactly the same on the World Service, and we pushed back some of those cuts. We're running a campaign at the moment around the licence fee because of all lots of influence on that. And again, what we're trying to do there is raise lots of awareness in Parliament. It's been pretty effective, but it's a cold climate for trade unions at the moment. But what we're trying to do is make sure that no MP in Parliament now, when they get up to speak on an issue related to the media or the press, should speak in ignorance, because we're briefing them all the time. They do speak in ignorance, but we're trying to make sure there's no excuse for doing it.